Basha claims he was called to the prosecution today over US lobbying contracts only as a political tactic of Rama, with the prosecution responding by stating details of evidence which proves violations have occurred. The chair of the Central Election Commission, Clemence Zaguri, has asked the Assembly to ensure political parties do not undermine the administration of electoral processes, as well as maintaining adherence to all associated deadlines. According to a report realised by the organisation Civic Resistance, the government has failed to realise 9 of the 18 promises that were agreed upon under the framework of the University Pact. It's 6 o'clock on Monday, the 25th of March 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to rtvора's English edition. My name is Alexandra, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Our top story tonight: although he refused to appear last Thursday, Democratic Party Chair Lulzim Basha has responded positively today to the prosecution's call to provide clarification regarding the Democratic Party's campaign funding. After spending more than an hour at the office of the prosecutor Gjergj Tako, Basha was stated that he was called to appear at the prosecution office in the capacity as a person aware of the circumstances which are being investigated. According to him, the case commenced based on a request by the Democratic Party regarding the forms submitted to the Central Election Commission. He also asked the prosecution to publish the official response letters which have been provided by the United States of America and Scotland. The responses from the United States and Britain were received more than 6 months ago. The letters prove that the Democratic Party has not violated any law, nor have any of its leaders. I urge the prosecution to publish the responses from the US and Britain, said Basha. Also called to give evidence for the lobbying investigation was the Secretary-General of the Democratic Party, Gazmend Bardi, who stated that he held the same position as the DP chair, Basha. Furthermore, the DP's CFO, Ilir Dervishi, and his former Secretary-General, Arben Rustani, were also required to appear to give evidence regarding the investigations. When speaking about this issue, Lulzim Basha declared that the real reason behind the Democratic Party officials being called to the prosecution was that it was part of Edi Rama's political agenda. This caused a reaction from the Prosecution Office of Tirana, who gave a media statement declaring that the entire investigation is based on evidence from the United States and Scotland, which suggests that the Democratic Party failed to report the funding amounts accurately, declaring that campaign funding was received to the value of just US $25,000, when in fact it was actually $650,000 US dollars. According to the prosecution, the documents clearly prove the payments were made to this value and yet were not declared accordingly. The official statement to the media even went on to assert that the Democratic Party had violated the law through the non-declaration of these received payments. The prosecution body further explains that the payment was sent specifically by a foreign company known as Biniata Trade. The District Prosecution Office in Tirana concluded their statement by saying that they guarantee an objective and unbiased investigation into this matter based on evidence and law, while promising to remain unaffected by any media statements. The Serious Crimes Appeals Court was forced to adjourn the hearing for Emiliano Shulazi for the 4th time today after the designated lawyer for his co-conspirator, Gilmando Dani, failed to attend the session today. Adjourning the trial until April 8, the judges assigned an alternative lawyer to represent Dani at the next hearing. Only one of the named defendants were present for today's session, that being Blerim Shulazi. Meanwhile, Emiliano Shulazi himself did not attend. A few days ago, the lawyer who was representing Emiliano Shulazi up until this point in the process, Ravik Gura, was assassinated in Elbasan. As such, Emiliano Shulazi has issued an official request to the court to be represented solely by the lawyer Vladimir Meci. In November 2018, the Serious Crimes Court found Emiliano Shulazi guilty of embezzling property, making threats to kill, and being a member of a structured criminal group. He was sentenced to 14 years in prison. His collaborator, Gilmando Dani, was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Endrit Chucha and Endrit Zela both received 10 years, while Blerim Shulazi will spend the next 9 years in prison. The group was found guilty of making threats against the Dean of the University of Tirana. The Central Election Commission is concerned that the election process will be affected by a possible political deal, such as that of 18 May. Clemence Zaguri, in the presentation of the annual report, requested the intervention of the Assembly that the political clashes should not include the June 30th elections in their whirlwind, for which the administration procedures have already started 3 months ago. The issue of lobbying contracts of the Democratic Party in the United States was a point for which the opposition MPs demanded investigations by the Central Election Commission. But Zaguri said that they were members elected by socialists who did not want a deeper action on this issue. Meanwhile, the arrival of new members in the parliament and the realisation that 62 political parties are registered without a correct physical address has caused the Socialist Party to consider amending the law on political parties. As part of the University Pact, the government has set up a new online portal aimed at ensuring there is greater transparency as to the processes and procedures undertaken by higher education institutions. Prime Minister Edi Rama rolled out the portal utransparenza.al during a presentation giving a speech where he noted that budget spending on education will be publicly available using this portal. I believe that this portal acts as the instrument for universities to release the information, which can then be monitored by the government. Managing universities is not the responsibility of the government, but the universities themselves. Absolutely, the budget should be published in its entirety, and not just as an annual budget, but also the medium-term budget, explained Edi Rama. The head of the government said that the process of employing the most excellent students will continue across a range of other campaigns, stressing that this will be conducted for all levels of the administration. We have started with the first 300 excellent students and they are now part of the administration. A second round is being prepared and in fact all vacancies in the administration will be filled using this process. It is an open road now, completely objective. The complaints we had were all addressed. We have done some cleaning up, but that is not enough. We will go deeper. The call will be for the best students, stated Rama. Regarding the student card, the Prime Minister said the preparations have started. The first phase will be implemented with the municipality of Tirana and then in other cities where there are universities. Preparations are underway. We will launch the first phase of implementation with the municipality of Tirana. We will then extend to other university cities based on that model, guaranteeing cohesion between the Albanian student card and the European student card, informed Prime Minister Rama. Meanwhile, for the infrastructural improvements required for universities, Rama said that significant spending will begin in autumn of this year. Although the government launched the new online portal for transparency of universities, not all of civil society is satisfied with their progress in regards to the promises made in the University Pact. A report from the group Civic Resistance explains that there are a total of 9 commitments that the government has so far failed in realising that form part of the pact regarding universities. Civic Resistance accused the government of creating the University Pact purely as a method of extinguishing the protest action rather than a true intention to improve the institutions. According to a report published by Civic Resistance, it turns out that there are 9 promises that the government undertook within the pact for the university and has not yet completed. According to the Civic Resistance, the pact for the university was used by the government as a mechanism to extinguish the protest. Over the past 3 months, the Civic Resistance organisation has been monitoring Prime Minister Rama's public addresses. According to their data, his 25 communications has lasted for over 1,000 minutes. Seeing as the number of foreign language courses on offer continues to greatly increase, it has thus created the idea that Albanians are very good at speaking English. However, recently published data suggests a different story entirely. According to a map published by MapChart, only 17% of the population in Albania are able to communicate well in English. Excluding English-speaking countries such as the United States and Great Britain, the report assesses that the nations which are the best at speaking English as a second language are the Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark and Norway. However, in regards to Albania, with just 17% of the population assessed as having strong English skills, sociologists interpret this to prove that Albanians are self-sufficient. They also suggested that there was a strong desire for people to learn and hone their English skills. According to the language app Babbel, there are approximately 1.5 billion people around the world who speak English, with 360 million of them speaking English as a first language. English is also considered the language of the internet, with around 50% of all web content being in English. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of rtvora, thank you and good night.